She is on top of the world.
She's the best hardcore player in the world.
She was the #1 female tennis player in the world at the age of 21 and quickly became one of the highest female paid athletes on the planet. She was on a trajectory to unimaginable success and had left many fans obsessed with her rare talent because she literally aced everything on and off the court. Until she didn't. So what happened to Naomi Osaka? No, it's not about the money, the endorsements, or the pregnancy like you might be thinking. It goes way deeper than that. It's the summer of 2018, and a 20-year-old Naomi Osaka has just defeated her idol, Serena Williams, to win her first Grand Slam title in her first major final. This immediately made her the first Japanese player to ever win a major. To some people, Naomi looked like an overnight success, but to us die-hard fans, she was always a star in the making. Naomi was born in Japan, but she and her sister moved to Long Island in the United States at the age of 3. Her father, Leonard Francois, barely had any tennis background, but after watching the Williams sisters compete at the 1999 French Open, he became obsessed and vowed to emulate Richard Williams and make his daughters become the best tennis players in the world. Sounded like a plan. Without any experience, Osaka's father began coaching his daughters and even went as far as moving to Florida when Naomi was 8, so that they could literally train every waking moment. Naomi trained during the day and was homeschooled at night. She spent time at a couple of different tennis academies before quickly hopping on the junior circuit, but it didn't last long. She immediately skipped to the ITF women's circuit and played her first qualifying match on her 14th birthday in 2011. Osaka's time on the ITF circuit was mid, and she didn't win any titles. However, in September 2013, Naomi then decided to turn pro with her 16th birthday right around the corner. As the 406th ranked player, Naomi upset the world number 19 Sam Stosur after saving a match point in her tour-level debut and quickly broke into the top 250 before the end of the season. By 2015, Naomi had made modest amounts of progress and was inside the top 150. But 2016 was the year that everything changed. Naomi qualified for her first Grand Slam main draw at the 2016 Australian Open and made it to the third round after she won 2 matches in Miami. She broke into the top 100, and after 3 third-round appearances at majors and a couple of impressive results, Naomi broke into the top 50 and was named WTA Newcomer of the Year at the age of 18. Apart from 2 top 10 wins, Naomi's 2017 was relatively uneventful. However, she managed to maintain her spot in the top 50. Following her lack of improvement that year, she hired Sasha Bajin to be her coach in the offseason, and come 2018, she was on a roll. First, Naomi won the Indian Wells tournament to become the youngest champion at the event in 10 years. It was her first WTA title, and having defeated 2 top 5 players en route to the title, many fans began to buy the hype, but the rest of the season was rather quiet. Until the US Open. Going into the tournament, Naomi was the 20th seed and not considered a favorite for the title. However, she dropped only 1 set against an upcoming Aryna Sabalenka en route to the final, where she met Serena Williams. But for all of Naomi's exceptional shot-making and aggressive baseline play, the final match was marred by an on-court dispute between Williams and the umpire, which ended up in Serena receiving a game penalty. With boos from the crowd during the match and the award ceremony, it was a bittersweet experience for Osaka, but that didn't stop her because she finished the year a career-high world number 4 before a hamstring injury ended her season. 2019 came, and a staggering 11 players were in contention for the world number 1 status at the Australian Open. But after Naomi clinched the title in a dramatic final that saw Petra Kvitova save 3 championship points to take the match to 3 sets, Naomi became the first Asian singles player to be ranked as number 1, but she shocked the whole world with her decision to part ways with her coach, Sasha Bajin. And you could guess what happened after. A series of underwhelming results, early round exits, injuries, all of which culminated in her losing the top spot to Ash Barty. Although she briefly regained the top spot, Naomi failed to defend her US Open title after losing to Belinda Bencic in the 4th round at Flushing Meadows. Naomi went back to her father as coach and rediscovered her winning spark before an injury ended her campaign at the WTA Finals. The pandemic-shortened season came in 2020, and Naomi competed in only 4 tournaments. Still, she made a clean sweep in Cincinnati in the US Open, winning all of her matches in the United States. Having won her 2nd US Open title in 3 years, the predictions started rolling in about how many majors she would win in her career. But for the 3rd season in a row, Naomi's lingering hamstring injury resurfaced, and she had to miss the rescheduled French Open and the rest of the year. 2021 came, and Naomi won the Australian Open title again. losing only one set the entire tournament. Naomi took out Serena Williams in the semis before beating Jennifer Brady in straight sets in the final. She had now won all of her first 4 major finals. Only Roger Federer and Monica Seles managed to do that. At this point, I don't think any of us were more excited than I was about Naomi's potential to become the leader of the new generation. But it didn't quite turn out like that because, unbeknownst to us, Naomi was struggling with 3 problems and it didn't look good. Naomi was seeded second at the 2021 French Open, but shortly before the start of the tournament, she announced that she would not conduct her mandatory media rounds. After winning her first match, she declined to take part in any press conference and was fined $15,000 and even threatened with more fines and expulsion. So the following morning, she simply announced her withdrawal from the tournament, citing mental health issues as the reason, and went on to reveal in a post that she had been suffering from depression since the 2018 US Open. Well, as you could already guess, the reaction from the tennis community was mixed. Naomi then missed Wimbledon but returned for the Tokyo Olympics, where she had another problem looming. Naomi received loads of backlash for choosing to represent Japan over the United States. Why did Naomi abandon her US citizenship? She was born in Japan to a Japanese mother and a Haitian-American father, and was raised in the States, so she held dual citizenship at the time, but under Japanese requirements, you must choose one nationality over the other before turning 22, so she went with Japan. But many fans weren't buying that. Some said she was after the money, given the fact that as a Japanese player, she could make substantially more in endorsements compared to playing as an American. Remember when Kei Nishikori at one point out-earned Novak Djokovic and Serena Williams because of his numerous sponsorships and endorsements? There was also word on the street that Naomi's decision to represent Japan had something to do with the USTA. You see, despite Naomi's unbelievable talent at such a young age, it was like the USTA somehow seemed to not pay much attention and probably didn't see her stocks rising because she wasn't invited to training sessions. But when she cracked the top 50 in 2016, the USTA then offered her training, but she still declined. Turns out Naomi might have taken the whole thing personally, and it possibly had an impact on her decision to represent Japan over the United States. But like I said, that's just one point of view, so what are your thoughts on the matter? Naomi's multiracial background also brought a lot of comments about her ethnicity and race. Later in 2021, Naomi released another post on social media, drawing attention to her mental health. She would later return to action at the Cincinnati Open, but was upset in the 3rd round. It didn't get any better because Naomi failed to defend her US Open title, losing to the eventual tournament runner-up Leylah Fernandez in the 3rd round, despite serving for the match in the 2nd set. At one point during the match, Osaka threw her racket and received a code violation for hitting a ball into the stands. In her post-match conference, Naomi Osaka said that she was going on another hiatus from the sport for a while because winning didn't make her happy anymore.
I feel like for me, recently, like when I win, I don't feel happy. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna take a break from playing for a while.
2022 came and she seemed upbeat even when she lost matches, saying that she was working on her mental health and that she was trying to have more fun on court. Naomi's tournament absences in 2021 and her inability to defend her Australian Open title saw her drop more than 70 places down the rankings. Naomi was then reduced to tears when a heckler upset her in the 2nd round match at the 2022 Indian Wells tournament. After crying on the sideline, she asked the judge if she could use her microphone to address the crowd.
I'm trying not to cry. And I don't know why, but it went into my head and it got replayed a lot.
Naomi compared her situation to that of the Williams sisters that led the Williams sisters to boycott the tournament for 13 years. And for the rest of the year, Naomi had to deal with an ankle injury, back injury, abdominal pain, and early round exits at tournaments. Seeing a player who had once ruled the tennis world struggle with these problems was definitely tough, but it got a bit better this year, at least in my opinion. Well, our newsletter is up and running, and we're already covering some of the most exciting topics on and off the court. It's the place to go for highlights, event recaps, ranking updates, even a little bit of trivia. But what else would you like to see in the newsletter? And if you haven't already subscribed, click the link down below. Days before the Australian Open, Osaka announced her withdrawal from the tournament as she was expecting her first child with her boyfriend, Corday, who happens to be an American rapper. In her message to fans, Naomi stated that her time away from the sport gave her a new love and more appreciation for the game, and that she was going to come back in 2024. But as exciting and refreshing as the news of her pregnancy was, there were still some fans that criticized Naomi's decision to walk away from the sport and start a family. Now, I've made similar videos about Emma Raducanu, Bianca Andreescu, and Garbiñe Muguruza and talked a little bit about why some of these women struggle on and off the court. Personally, I feel like there's always going to be that dilemma between career and family for WTA players, and it's really just an unfortunate circumstance. But for Naomi, the issues go way deeper than that. If you've been following this analysis, you might be able to take a guess on Naomi's problems already. And although she struggled with a few injuries and changed coaches a couple times, those were not the main talking points. Naomi struggled with 3 things. Naomi has always been so hard on herself in a self-deprecating way. If you take a look at some of her posts like this one, you'll see a common theme where she sees herself as not being good enough and how she never rewards herself even when she does do great. This led Naomi into an identity crisis of sorts where she didn't really know who she was or where she was going. But it looks like there's light at the end of the tunnel, and here's what our superstar had to say.
Honestly, I think this year, like this break that I'm taking, has been really important for me because it sort of made me remember who I am. There's a lot of things that happened over the past 3 years since the French Open. It just kind of made me a little angry inside, and I felt like I was changing a lot, the energy that I exude.
Yeah.
So it's been nice to kind of just center myself and remember all the things that are important to me.
Winning back-to-back majors, becoming the world #1, all that pressure must have weighed heavily on her because she admitted that she wasn't prepared for the amount of attention that she got as a superstar. Quick one, do you think that being homeschooled played a role in that? Just a little thought that popped into my head. We often forget that celebrities and athletes are still human despite the fame and money. For Naomi, her introverted, maybe socially awkward nature doesn't really fit the picture of a superstar athlete, and some part of the media seems to have taken an issue with it. One time, a reporter questioned her to tears after asking how she wanted to go about balancing her interests outside of tennis with the platform that she had.
You also have outside interests beyond tennis that are served by having the platform that the media presents to you. My question is, how do you think you might be able to best balance the two?
Some fans thought the question was inappropriate. Naomi's agent called the reporter a bully, and there was a lot of back and forth on the whole issue. Naomi didn't want any of the media at that point, so she made a decision not to participate in interviews because she felt that it was affecting her mental health. But her decision to put herself first led to lots of backlash. This leads us to the 3rd point. Naomi spoke out on mental health and has drawn lots of attention for her activism and cry for social justice. We've seen her boycott tournaments and speak out on important issues. Netflix released a 3-part docuseries about Naomi with insights into her struggles with being multiracial, all of the sacrifices she made during her career, and how it took a toll on her mental health. Naomi's mental health has been well documented, and she tells us it is okay to not be okay. The truth is that high-level athletes across all sports have always faced some sort of self-doubt, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, you name it. But thanks to Naomi in part, it does get talked about a little more. Obviously, some athletes handle it a bit better than others, and for Naomi, she felt that a break would do her a world of good, even if she was going to fly under the radar for it. After going to therapy, she says she feels a lot better. Now, we all know that the subject of mental health is a very sensitive one, so I feel like people shouldn't be too quick to judge someone if they appear too soft or cry a lot or show their vulnerabilities. Everyone has an opinion. Tournament organizers, sponsors, social media, family, and millions of people out there. But Naomi decided to block out all the noise, and now she's in a much better place. But where do we go from here? Naomi's already told us that she'll be back in 2024, and not only that, she'll be playing way more tournaments than ever.
Definitely way more tournaments than I used to play. Some people will be happy with that.
The truth is that the women's tour will be more exciting with Naomi around, and it will be quite the comeback if she can become a genuine Grand Slam contender again. It might take her some time to find her rhythm and ultimately be able to compete against the likes of Coco Gauff, Aryna Sabalenka, and Iga Swiatek. Naomi Osaka is coming back to tennis on her own terms, and she still has plenty of time to consolidate her place in history. Not many players can boast of 4 major wins, being the world #1, and not to mention one of the most marketable athletes of all time. Naomi has also experienced fame, fortune, motherhood, mental health wins, and a whole variety of things that we can choose to look at. That being said, Even if her comeback doesn't live up to expectations, does it really matter when at 25 years old, she's already had one of the most successful tennis careers of all time? With Emma Raducanu also looking to make a return in 2024, there's a lot to look forward to on the women's side. What happened to Naomi Osaka is nothing new in our sport. Thrown into the ocean of glitz and glamour at a young age, Naomi was overwhelmed and it felt like she was drowning. But she still survived, and I think that the world is yet to see the best of Naomi Osaka. But someone else is also looking to make a comeback in 2024. Who might that be?